Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is something that since I learned that the next planet is going to be Greek inspired, I said to myself, this is a great opportunity to see what did Hoyo got from Greece and they used in their game. So I'm very excited to be able to expand on this a bit. So without further ado, my name is Evangelos and I'm here to talk about Amphoreus. So the first character we're going to talk about, as you can see on the screen, is Alaya. Now, the name of this character has been pronounced very differently in the game, and they keep calling her Aglaya or Aglaya, and the right pronunciation is Aglaia. Aglaia, which basically is a name that it's still been used up to this day, even though it's not as common as it used to be. And in my opinion, Aglaia is based on the goddess Aphrodite, who is the goddess of love and romance and beauty. Aphrodite is usually depicted as a very beautiful blonde woman, and I'm pretty sure Aglaia is based on her. Also, Alaya is a demigod of the goddess Mnestia, of the Titan Mnestia, who is supposed to be the Titan of romance. And also, Mnestia in Greek is translated into Mnistia. And Mnistia means engagement, as in lovers' engagement, which is something interesting. So yeah, this is for Alaya, as I said before, Alaya. The next character I want to talk about is Anaxa, also known as Anaxagoras. Now, here's a few interesting things about Anaxagora. Anaxagoras was a Greek philosopher who was into astronomy. There's a fun fact I want to add there. He's the first person to have explained the concept of nous. And nous in Greek translates to mind. Nous is the mind. And I would say don't be surprised if Anaxagoras is following the path of erudition. Nous. So I'm very excited to see. It would be a missed opportunity if he's not erudition. Like it wouldn't make sense, you know? It's too much of a coincidence for him to be something else. But we'll see. I might be wrong. The next character we have here is, I feel like a fan favorite, Castorice. Now, Castorice is not an actual Greek name, but if you wanted to pronounce it in Greek, you would say Castoriki. Castoriki. Castorice is known in the game as the daughter of river Styx. Now, in Greek mythology, Styx is a goddess and is basically called river Styx as well, and is also one of the rivers in the Greek underworld. So you can make the connection with Castoriki and death immediately. The next one is Cipher. Cipher is not a Greek word, but in the trailer they pronounce her name as Cyphera. So in Greek, if you want to pronounce her name, you would say either Kyphera or Kyphera. I really like her design. Even though she's not based in Greek, in anything Greek, I'm pulling when she comes. Now the next character we're going to talk about is Sirene. In ancient Greek mythology, Sirene was a princess who later became a queen in North Africa, and she founded the city Sirene. There is an actual city called Sirene. Now if you want to pronounce her name in Greek, you're gonna call her Kirini. That's how you can pronounce her name in Greek. Kirini. According to many myths, her father was a river god named Pinios, and she was actually one of the nymphs. I found very interesting the connection to the nymphs. So we have nymphs in the game already, so I think it's something we should keep in mind. It's a very interesting connection. If I sound stressed, I'm sorry. I am. I've never done this before, and I don't want to spread any misinformation about anything, but it's something that I'm really excited to do, and I hope people enjoy this. The next character we're going to talk about is Maid. Now, the thing about Maid is the characters pronounce him Maid in the game, but I think if you had to pronounce him in Greek, the name Maid translates to Midi, which translates to Midimos. I think the right pronunciation would be Midimos for Maid. Because a part of his name is Demos, and in Greek mythology, Demos was the personification of terror, the son of Ares, who is the god of war, wink wink Nicador, and also the son of Aphrodite. And this is a very interesting thing because if you think about it, Nicador, who's the titan of his homeland, is kind of a reference to Ares in my opinion, and now we see that in the myth he was supposed to be the son of Ares. So yeah, I see a connection there as well. His brother was Phobos, or in Greek, Phobos, which means fear. And I feel like there's a lot of cooking with Maid, so I'm curious to see what they do with his story. He's a very interesting character. Now, something else I want to add about Nicador is the first part of Nicador can be translated to Niki, which is victory. Niki. And the second part of Nicador is Dor. Dor, as in Thor. And Dori is the spear. So it's like the spear of victory, which is another interesting thing to write down about Nicador and Maid. Or Midimos. Let's say it the Greek way, Midimos. The next character I'm going to talk about is a favorite of mine, Phainon. The name is pronounced Phainon. Characters in the game call him Phainon, but I should tell you that it's an actual Greek name. It comes from the verb pheno, which means to shine. He is pretty shiny, isn't he? Well, whenever we see him, I get blinded. Anyway, the thing about Phainon is, in Greek mythology, he is the sky god of the star of Cronus, which is Saturn. And there are two versions of his origin. One story tells us that he's either the son of the gods Astros and Eos, and the other one tells us that he's a handsome youth crafted by the Titan Prometheus, and that later he was placed among the stars by Zeus. The interesting thing about this is that this could hint at a possible scenario that Phainon in the story is an actual descendant of a Titan, and he will later on get out of Amphoreus and see the stars up close. That would be a very interesting thing for Phainon, because it means that they actually based his story and his future to this origin story. I'm very fond of Phainon, and he does sign, doesn't he? The next character, or characters, are Tribbie. Now, let me say a few things about Tribbie. Tribbie is not a Greek name, but the first part in all three Tribbies start with tree. And the word tria, if you say the word tria, it means three. So, for example, the word triple, which also comes from the Greek word triplo, means 3 times. If you wanted to pronounce Tribbie's name in Greek, it would be Tribbie. Tribbie. And last but not least, the character Hyacine. In Greek, Hyacine, you can pronounce it Hyakini. I feel like the name Hyakini is a wordplay, because there's a flower that's called, in English it's hyacinth, and in Greek it's iakinthos. So this is all I can think for our pink Barbara. Basically, I think everything is just a wordplay of the flower Iakinthos. If you want to say her name again in Greek, you pronounce it Hyacine. Now, the planet Amphoreus is, if you pronounce it in Greek, you would say Amphoreos. The next thing I'm going to talk about is, of course, Kefali. The thing about Kefali is, in Greek, you can pronounce it Kefali, which is the ancient version, or you can say Kefali, which is the modern version we still use up to today, and this means the literal head of a person, or the boss of someone. It can definitely mean a lot of things. It's not just one, but it's usually like the most important member of somewhere. And of course, we can't have Kefali without the Chrysos heirs. Now, Chrysos in Greek means gold. So you have basically the golden heirs chosen by the prophecy of Kefali, which is also very fitting. If you think about it, the blood that's floating is golden. So, of course, they are the Chrysos heirs. The word is Chrysos. So, to summarize, let's go and look at everyone one more time. Alaya, Anaxa y Anaxagoras, Castorice, Cipher, otherwise Cifera, Sirene, Midimos, or I guess Midi, Phainon, Tribbie, Hyacine, Kefali, or Kefali, Chrysos heirs. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go into the game and just scroll around a bit and see a few NPCs and see what other names they have gotten from Greece. It would be very interesting, so let's just go straight in. We're gonna start from here and I'm gonna look at every NPC we might find and see what I can discover in Amphoreus. Dorian, I don't think this is a Greek name, but you can look at Dragon Age and you'll find an amazing character called Dorian. Pasithea, I haven't heard of this name before, but you can say Pasithea if you want to say it in Greek. And I have to say something interesting. If you see the last part of the name Thea, Thea in Greek means goddess. So I guess you could say Thea means goddess. Thea. Now this is very interesting. This name is Petros and it's a very common name in Greece. It also in English, if you want to translate it, it's Peter. So this is Peter in Greek, Petros. Petros. That's very cool. The holy city guard Petros. Zeno and Parmenides. Now, Parmenides is a Greek name. It's actually the name of a Greek philosopher, which is very good to see. Kielos. I don't think this is a name that I've heard of before, but yeah, it ends with an OS. Like when you see names ending like OS, it's mostly male names, like Midimos. Let me think of another one. Petros, the one we saw before. So yeah, names that end with OS, male names. Like look at this, Kyros. Again, OS. Amicus, Iphis, not really, I don't know those names, but Charon is actually a name coming from Greek mythology, which is great to see. Eleni. Eleni. Oh my god, Eleni. Eleni is a Greek name and it's very common and there are so many people I know with this name. It's a female name. A lot of people have this name. Extremely common. Sephone. Sephone might as well come from the name Persephone, which is also a name in ancient Greece, but they still can use today. It's not as common, but it exists. Now the name Telelos sounds Greek if you read it that way, but I don't think it is. I haven't heard of it before. Hi Alaya. Yasu Alaya, which means hi Alaya. Yasu in Greek means, in English, means hi. Cygnus and Nyssa. Nyssa, I think, is actually a Greek name, but in ancient Greece, I haven't heard it recently. Apollonia. Apollonia, actually, her name is based on the Greek god Apollon. And there are actual places in ancient Greece called Apollonia, which there were cities that got their name from the god. They were doing it as a tribute to the god Apollon. Cassandra. Cassandra is, I think, probably the name Cassandra, which is a Greek name. Cassandra. I've heard women still up to this day being called Cassandra. The name still exists. It may not be as common, but it does exist. Cassandra. Damionis. This name, you pronounce it Damionis in Greek. I haven't heard it, but I think it's an ancient Greek name. I haven't heard anyone in Greece called Damionis. The letter D in Greek, you say the. So instead of Damionis, you will say Damionis. The name Yea is definitely Greek, and it can literally mean the earth. The earth is Yi. It comes from the earth. And of course is a botanist, right? Of course, she's making things from soil. The letter G in Greek, you read it as G. So you're not gonna say Gaia, you're gonna say yeah, because A and I together in a sentence, it can be read as E. So R E A. Yeah. Remember that if you're interested in reading more names in the future and they are coming from Greece. G R. Xenia, definitely a Greek name. It's been used up to this day. A lot of people are called Xenia. It's not Xenia like Xena. It's Xenia. Xenia. Very common female name. Iesia. It says Iegesia, but you can say Iesia. Iesia, I haven't heard it as a name, but Iegesia is a word. Iegesia has to do with leadership. So this person is a laborer. So it's kind of contradicting what Iegesia is supposed to be. It's funny that her name it has to do with commanding, like being a leader, but she's a laborer. Just a simple laborer. So you can see the irony here, what they've done with the words. They like to play with the words. Who doesn't know Demosthenes? In Greek, Demosthenes is the name Demosthenes. You can find it in ancient Greece. You can find it right now. There are still people up to this day called Demosthenes. A very common, well, I wouldn't say very common male name, but I've heard it a lot, even though it's not too common. There are still a lot of people with this name. Margusa. Margusa. I haven't heard the name Margusa, but Callista. Callista is a name that I've heard before, and Sarah is not a name I've heard. Margusa, though, if you say it Margusa, it does sound Greek, doesn't it? There's a name called Margot, which comes from Marigot, and you can say Marigot. But Margusa, it's familiar, but I can't think of it right now, like if it is Greek indeed. Now we have Julius, okay. You can say Julius Iulius, you know? Which could also be the month July, Julius, July, Iulius. There is the name Iulius and the name Iulia as well, which is the female version of the name. Hara. Hara. I actually have a co-worker that's called Hara at my work. It's a very, very common name. Hara in Greece means, in Greek, means happiness. So, Hara, happiness. Very common name. So many people call Hara. And there's the male version called Haris. O Haris, Haris, Kei Hara, and Hara. Haris and Hara. No names. Oh, Akmonidis. Akmonidis does sound Greek. It's probably from Greek mythology, but I'm not sure. Busybody. It does sound very Greek though. Akmonidis. Oh, we're back to Julia, or this is another Julia? This is another Julia. How many Julias we have? Oh, by the way, Julia. That's the Julia. How we saw Julius before, you can say Julia, which is Julia. And Daros has an OS at the end. As I said earlier, names that finish with OS can be male, so it's like Daros. But I'm not sure if it's Greek, to be honest with you. I haven't heard it. Georgius. The name is Georgius. It comes from the name Georgios. It was also the name of my father, and it's a very, very, very common name in Greece. In English, it's the name George. You can say George, Georgius. Very, very common name. One of the most common names in Greece. You'll see so many people called Yorgos. So, Georgius, it says here. Hercules. If you think of Hercules, it could be a mashed potato version of Hercules. So, Hercules, Iraklis, Irklas. I haven't heard this before. Erinis, if it was Irini means peace. It's a very, very common name in Greece. But I don't think it has to do with Irini. It's Irenis. It feels like something else. Freya, Juno, Calypso. Well, I know Calypso. Callisto, I think it's also a name, but I'm not sure of it. Sophia is an extremely common name in Greece. Extremely common name. You'll see so many women called Sophia. And Sophia in Greek means wisdom. Cartonus, it's not a name, but if you take the first part, Harto, you can say Harti, which is paper. You can say Hartis, which is a map. So if you get the first part, you can make something out of it. But Cartonus, I don't know it. Theodoros. You can say this in many ways, but the common way to say it is Theodoros. An extremely common male name in Greece. A lot of people have it. I have friends that have it. Theodoros. Kyros means actually in English Kyros is prestige, and I haven't heard it as a name, but I have heard it as a word a lot. It is a word used up to this day, and it's literally prestige. You can say authority if you want to. And Pythia. Pythia is a Greek name that's from Greek mythology, and if you search it, there's a lot of information on Pythia. I don't think it's used today. It's just an older name, but I've never heard like anyone called Pythia. But yeah, it's definitely a Greek name from ancient Greece. Servius, no, but Telemachus in Greek, you say Telemachos. It's not with a U, it's with an O. Telemachos. If you put C and H together, it's H, like he. So you say Telemachos. It's a very common name. I've heard it many times. It's not as common as George, no, or John, like Yorgos, Yannis, because John is Yannis in Greek. But it's a quite common name. I've heard it. I think I'm going to stop here. We've seen a lot of names. Some of them are Greek, like up to this day they're still used. Some of them are like not used anymore, or a bit used, but you don't see them very often. And there are names that you don't see anymore, but they do exist, like they were in ancient Greece, definitely. Or mythology, but also there are some names that seem made up, or like a mixture of names that exist and with extra syllables that try to have a different kind of a name. And also there are many that I don't know if they're Greek. I haven't heard them ever in my life. But the thing is, it feels so unique to see characters in the game that you love that have names from your own country and inspiration. And if you told me when I started making content a few years ago that I would eventually dress up like this and talk about names from my country in Star Hill, I wouldn't believe it, because how would I? It's amazing that the game has gotten inspiration from Greece, and I couldn't be happier to be here and experience this with all of you. I hope you enjoyed my reaction to all those names and my explanations and everything I could give you from my heart and my knowledge about Greece. Probably we're going to get more in the future, so whatever I see I will always speak out and mention it. But I'm very, very happy to experience Amphoreus. I want to thank you so much for watching. It was alright. I saw a lot of things I recognized and a lot of things I didn't. A lot of NPCs with no names, which I hope eventually they're going to add names to characters. And yeah, as I always say, keep on trailblazing. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Feel free to subscribe and support me on this journey to Amphoreus. I hope it's a good one. I hope the story just keeps surprising us and they keep giving us more and more lore and good drama. So, stay safe everyone, and may this journey lead us starward. Bye.